This week on Reliving the Extreme, we are discussing the episode of ECW from December the 12th, 1995. Nate Maxon, your host, here with you. Before we start the show, I just wanted to remind you that you can join us on Patreon, www.patreon.com/reliving the extreme. We have unedited episodes of the show. If you hear a show here on Reliving the Extreme that goes maybe 45 minutes to an hour, there's probably 90 minutes of content there, because we, of course, discuss things before the show, we discuss things after the show, maybe in the middle of the show that hits the cutting room floor. And if we get a big enough support on Patreon, we are going to start doing bonus episodes as well, where we will talk about different territories or anything else pertaining to pro wrestling. So that's patreon.com/reliving the extreme. There's a few different tiers. You can get unedited audio, unedited video, and there's also a membership for $15 a month where you can be a co-host on the show periodically. So lots of bonus stuff there for Patreon. And as we start the show, a couple of weeks ago, of course, the passing of Terry Funk, and we did not have, Chad was not available for that episode. So I wanted to start out this week to get his thoughts on a man that he respected, got to work with, and loved dearly, Terry Funk. So that's what we're going to start the show off with, Chad's thoughts on the late Terry Funk. Enjoy the show, everybody. Chad, when Aaron and I did the episode of the show a couple of weeks ago, when you weren't able to be with us, and we talked about Terry Funk passing away, and we didn't get to have you on that episode, which I thought kind of sucked, because I really wanted to get your thoughts and memories of Terry Funk, because I know you knew Terry and he was dear to you, just like, I mean, it's up for us as fans, he was dear to us, but obviously not like someone that actually worked with him and got to know him. And I know you were as big a fan as anybody of the Funker, and I just wanted to get your thoughts here, because you didn't get to do it when we discussed it on that show, of Terry Funk and your memories of him.
Dude, It was probably best that I didn't do the show, honestly. Because it would have taken me hours just to even get my thoughts together, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why, I don't know how, but for some reason, he liked me. And you can tell by watching the ECW show. When you see, all the stuff with me and him and stuff, like, it was because he picked me. Sure, I was the job guy. You know what I mean? I was the ham, and I was the ham for a reason. Because he knew that I could do it and not fuck it up. And I mean, it wasn't like... I will say this. There was only like twice. I mean, at least once that I know of. Once we got back to the hotel, that he called me over and he tried to buy me a Coors Light, and I looked at him. I went, I don't think so. And he's like, "Oh, what are you saying?" I go, I can't do Coors Light. I can do Bud Light, but no, I can't do Coors Light. But I mean, it like, he was the kind of guy like that would even if he didn't see you for 10 years, you know what I mean? And he walked into a locker room, he would go like, "Hey Chad, how you doing?" He would still know who you were, even if you hadn't seen him for 10 years. And I mean, I saw him every week for what, I don't know, 5 years, whatever it was, 3 years. Yeah, so I mean, that was a rough one. I actually think I even called out of work that day. And when they asked why, I said, "It's Funk Day. Go funk yourself."
It's a religious holiday.
Yeah, man. I mean, I could pick and choose like my holidays, but when you lose somebody like Terry Funk, that's not like losing Jesus. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus is like one step below Terry Funk. You know what I'm saying? Fuck. Yeah, that was a brutal one.
I actually, when we did when we did the tribute on the We Can't Wrestle podcast for him, I actually brought up the fact that whether or not he may or may not be someone's favorite wrestler, but I really do think if you look at how many times he reinvented himself, what he meant to Japanese wrestling, what he meant to so many territories in this country, and then literally ECW existed because of his presence. I mean, I'm not trying to discount anybody else that worked there, but he put that stamp on it that made it legitimate. And for everything that he did, whether or not he's someone's favorite wrestler, there is a big case to be made that he's the greatest of all time.
Oh, I mean, he's probably top. If he's not top 5 in my world, he's probably top 3, just based upon what you just said, Nate.
Mm-hmm.
His Japanese run, his shitty WWF run, which was, that was just for money. Going back to WCW with Flair, the business they did there. Then going back to Japan, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, how old was this motherfucker?
He never had he'd be in how do I say it, like bad situations, but he would still be good at it. You know what I mean? Like you said, like when he went to WWF, it wasn't the greatest thing in the world, like idea wise, but he made it work and he made it entertaining. Just like when he went to WCW and in '99, like it was bad shit, but he still made, or it might have been 2000, but he still made it fucking work, and he was still the most entertaining thing on the fucking show.
Well, he did the best of what they gave him, what they allowed him to do.
And he took shitty things and like made it entertaining, you know what I mean? Because he's fucking Terry Funk. And
of
the
course.
question I was going to ask Chad is, you worked with the guy. I shouldn't say the guy. You worked with him. Is there anything that stands out in your mind that you learned from him that you didn't know before you got in there with him? You know what I mean?
I will say this. I made him a tape that, because I knew he wasn't a big tape collector or anything, and I made him a tape. And do you remember the interview where he poured the oil on his head?
Oh yeah, so that's some of my favorite shit of all time.
Well, that I had the master tape of, and I made him that, and it was like 3 or 4 other things and all that I didn't think that he had or had seen. And when I went up to him to give him the tape, he put his arm around my neck, and he just said, "I don't want to remember any of that shit." like you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, dude, here it is. It's right here on video. And he just didn't give a fuck. You know what I mean?
Like it was like don't look back, look forward type of shit.
I'm assuming that. I mean, I can't speak for him now, but I'm just saying. I went to give him the tape, and he just put his arm around me and says, "I don't need to look at that shit. I don't need to remember any of that shit." And I'm thinking, like, do you even remember it? You know what I mean? Like it was stuff going back to like 77. And this was like 90. This was like 95. You know what I'm saying? I can't remember what I did Tuesday. What is today?
Today it's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
Yeah,
I can't remember what I did on Wednesday. Well, I mean, I keep somehow finding a way to not work.
Yeah, sucking my pockets dry.
but yeah, definitely Terry, one of the greatest of all time. And like I said, I couldn't go without hearing at least some of your thoughts on the great one. Before we got into our ECW review,
Dude, he was great at the bar. He was great. Man, like he was like in ECW, he was kind of like Ric Flair. Like when you got to the bar, you would see everybody, Sandman, just Cairo, whatever. You see him at the bar, but then like all of a sudden you would just turn around and there'd be Terry Funk going, Chad, come here. And like I said, he would always hand me a Coors Light. And I would just look at him like, I don't, nah. I don't do Coors Lights. But I mean, I'm not turning down a Coors Light from Terry Funk. You know what I mean?
Right.
And all of his runs were awesome and everything, but like that run where he came back in '89 or whatever with Flair and had like the I Quit match and all that shit, like he was in like hella good shape. Like that's the best shape he was ever in, I think.
And he was in his 40s.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like he came back and he's I'm not gonna say shredded or whatever, but he had abs and it was like Jesus Christ.
Had he recently when he did that, had he recently done a movie? When he did that
so.
run?
Probably. Was it Over the Top?
Maybe. That's what I was just thinking, like, why would he have been, you know what I mean? Like, because he wasn't necessarily a guy you thought of for being, like you said, having a great physique or whatever, but that could have been why.
And he was never out of shape.
No, but I'm just saying he was in movie shape.
Like he was lean and mean in fucking '89, man. Like he looked good.
I was just kidding about going on ahead and challenging you for the title.
I mean, I love how, like, just even his shitty ass performance in Roadhouse, like even that to me is like when I see his name on there, like he did nothing in that movie.
And he was still great.
Yeah, he punched the guy and he got thrown over a railing. It was Terry Funk.
I told a guy at work that is also a wrestling fan. We were talking about him. I said, man, even though it sucked, even though it completely stunk, even when they had him doing Funk's Grill, somehow he still made Funk's Grill good, even though it stunk. And it was not a thing he should have been doing.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
It wasn't good, but it was still Terry, so I still like it.
Yeah, I mean, it was him being Terry, and the other guy had no idea, like he was just doing Terry. You know what I mean? It wasn't like they got together beforehand. He goes, all right, this is what I want to say. This is what you're going to say. It was they went out there and Terry just said, oh, "Fuck all this nonsense." I'm stealing the segment.
Yeah, we got 5 minutes, and I'm running it.
Pretty much. I mean that's what I think happened. I mean I didn't work at the time, so I don't know. But I didn't work at the time.
Well, yeah, all right.
Terry was a fucking. Yeah, Terry's a top. If he's not a top 5 guy, he's a top 3 guy in the business. Like, I mean, in my eyes, it's Flair, maybe Terry, and then Dusty. You know what I mean? I mean, you can put them in any order, and that was a rough one, man. That was a rough one.
And like Aaron and I talked about when we talked about it. I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say a bad word about the guy either. I mean, just a very giving performer as well. I don't know, just one of the greats.
Well, he never got mad at a payoff, as far as I know. I mean,
he'd just tell you his source was sick and fucking go home. He didn't make a big deal about it.
Yeah, fuck. He made it count, especially.
Or he'd just tell you that he didn't think it. Or he'd just tell you that he didn't think he could afford him. Like on that non-WWF produced ECW documentary, he talks about Ty Gordon called him and said, "I want you to come up and work this little territory I got." And he's like, "Todd, I don't know if you could afford me." Like Terry basically told Todd, like, if you can't pay, if bringing me up there means you can't pay the other guys, just don't bring me up there, because I don't want to be the reason that other guys are getting, like, shortchanged or whatever.
Terry was still there, wasn't he?
Still made the shot.
He still made the shots. And I'm not saying that we didn't get paid, but yeah, I'm sure our pay was cheaper. Well, because Terry was a couple grand, and you figure in 1994 money, that was a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're trying to spread around $2,500, or so between what 15, 18 people, and Terry's getting, I don't know, probably 75% of it. Then you do the math on what we're all getting.
And then you figure in what's the return on this. How much would we have made had Terry not been here? You know what I mean? Like if Terry wasn't on the card, maybe nobody would have made a goddamn thing.
Of course.
There would have been more. There would have been more guys in the locker room than in the crowd.
Of course. That's why nobody bitched. It was always better. It was like, remember back in the days when people would thank Hogan for the house?
Yeah, everybody wanted to
Like
be on
the
the
ABC
everybody wanted
show.
to be on everybody wanted to be on the Hogan card.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're in ECW arena, and you're drawing 400 people every 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden now you're drawing 1,000 people, 1,200 people every couple weeks because you got Terry Funk on the show. Well, I mean, our chest got bigger. Thank Terry Funk for the house. Thank you, Terry Funk, for the house.
Thank you, Terry Funk, for the house. Chad appreciates it, and so does everybody that ever got to work with you. Well, the episode of ECW we're reviewing this week is from December the 12th, 1995. We've kind of fast-forwarded through time because Aaron and I discussed November to Remember 95 last week, and then about 4 weeks' worth of shows was just stuff from November to Remember 95. So we've
Except
skipped
the
ahead
Heavenly Bodies showing up.
Yeah, fan cam stuff there. And also, I was wrong when we talked about November to Remember as well, because the night after, I do know for a fact that the night after November to Remember, Public Enemy wrestled at the Survivor Series in a dark match against the Smoking Guns in Landover. However, I thought that November to Remember was their last date with ECW. Apparently, it wasn't, because they are featured on this show as well. But they're very close to being gone. I know they are because they're in WCW by early 96. But anyway, yeah, the show starts off with Joey introducing us to fan cam footage of the Heavenly Bodies laying out a bunch of other tag teams, including the Public Enemy. I forget what arena they said that was in, but the Heavenly Bodies have made their ECW appearance.
Yeah, that was pretty much one and done. Wasn't it?
I think so. I think we're going to see them on a couple of TV episodes, but that's because all of that was taped at one shot. Yeah.
Over a weekend or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, the Heavenly Bodies I thought would have been great in ECW. I mean, a perfect foil for Public Enemy. You could have threw them in there with the Dudleys.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were. I thought they were a great team. I wasn't always the biggest fan of Jimmy Del Rey, personally, but I love Tom Pritchard.
Jimmy Del Rey. Did you ever work with him? Like actually work him in the ring, Jimmy Del Rey or Tom? Well, Tom Pritchard, I think I know you did or have, but
yeah, but Jimmy Del Rey, no, and I wish that I could have, man, because when he was Jimmy Backlund back in Florida, he took the greatest backdrop. I stole his backdrops. When he would take backdrops, the way he would take them, I stole that from him. Because I always thought you should never take a backdrop that the way you do it traditionally. I always thought there's always a different way to take it.
Right.
And I learned that I kind of learned that from him. But I never told him that. I don't give a fuck.
So after we see the Heavenly Bodies deal, Aaron, did you have anything on that segment? Sorry.
Not yet. No.
Okay.
He didn't know.
We have the EC. Another person emerges here in ECW. It is Damian Kane. with Lady Alexandra.
Good Lord.
And he is managing the Bad Crew. There's a whole lot going on here with these goofs.
For one,
Damien,
the one guy was like a mouth breather.
The first thing I wrote down about.
I was just gonna say the one guy was a mouth breather. Like he was standing in the ring and he's just like, ugh. Like had his mouth fucking wide open. And Damian Kane is basically Leather Lou Albano.
That's what. Actually, it's funny that you said that because I wrote down, does this guy think he's Lou Albano? I literally wrote that down.
See, it's as blatant as when Dick Slater would do Terry Funk. Like,
I mean, didn't I already tell you guys on previous shows about why Bad Crew was even there?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. When I do see them, I'm like, oh man, I don't know how AWA didn't survive with these guys around. But anyway,
no, it's because they had a Pennsylvania license, and Paul used their license all the time in exchange for them working. So I mean, that's why they got a mid card push, because Paul used their license, and they had a falling out over money, and goodbye. Thanks for coming, Bad Crew.
Wolfman's ring, Rocco's ring, Bad Crew's license. That's the story of early ECW, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much, man.
So did you ever? Because I know he was kind of a semi big deal on the East Coast Indies. Did you ever have any interaction with Damian Kane, Chad?
Yeah, because I worked like he ran shows in like Harrisburg and stuff, like with Bad Crew, and me and Dino used to work on them shows all the time. Like we were like a mainstay on their stable on their roster. Me and Dino were, whether it was against them, whether it was against the Bushwhackers, whether it was against Moolah and May. Jesus Christ. But you know what I mean? Like they liked me and Dino, and we liked them. We had no problem with them. They had no problem with us. They liked our gimmick, and we liked their territory. I mean, it was like an hour and a half drive for us, right up 95, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, from Baltimore. Boom, right there. And they would run they would use me and Dino all the time. Like they'd use us all the time. It was like we were like their main stars for some reason, except for that big fucking gigantic guy that stunk. I can't remember his name. He was like 7'8", but he was terrible. They built him as the largest fucking wrestler in the world or whatever, but they should have built him as the largest, worst wrestler in the world.
I'm gonna have to figure out who we're talking about. I'm gonna have to do some research on that because I honestly don't know.
Yeah. You'll find them if you can find any results from the Bad Crew shows that I'm on. You can find that big gigantic piece of garbage on there. He stunk, dude, and he thought he was great. Good Lord, he was bad.
Big gigantic piece of garbage.
That's what he was, dude. Could you imagine trying to throw him out, on Thursdays? They'd take like 4 trash guys and throw him in the back of the truck. He was that fucking big, but he stunk. I think he was a giant warrior. I mean, how original
that name? Now, see, that name sounds familiar. I recognize that name from the magazines back in the day. That might be it. The Giant Warrior.
He was terrible, dude. I don't think I've ever seen anybody as bad as that. I probably have, but because I look for bad wrestling all the time. But I don't think I've really seen anybody as bad live when I was watching it, like on a monitor, going, "Oof." I don't think I said
Hungarian
oof.
Barbarian.
Jeff.
Oh, it was like him. Yes, it was just like him.
Well, I just looked it up. But this Hungarian Barbarian is 6'7" and 305 pounds.
That's probably him. But he wasn't that hungry. It was 305 pounds. He's stunk.
And he was in a stable with the bad crew known as the Pack.
There you go. Yeah, that's probably him. The
Which
Hungarian
dominated
barbarian, jabroni, fucking whatever.
which dominated hardway wrestling among other several independents during the 90s and early 2000s.
He said dominated. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure he drew big money for the.
I'm just saying
for
what
the
his wiki says.
Huh?
I'm just saying what his Wikipedia said. So it's probably the Hungarian barbarian.
He is also known for seriously injuring independent wrestler Cotton the Bad Butcher. What a name. Sorry, Cotton. I'm sorry you got injured, but...
Oh, that's probably him.
Interesting
I told you how bad he was.
What was that guy's name?
Cotton the Bad Butcher. As opposed to
Interesting
Nylon,
about
as
Cotton,
opposed to Nylon the Good Butcher. I don't know.
Well, that stunk. Yeah, he was bad, dude.
And
Can we move
Vinyl
on from that because I'm trying to have a good life here.
Well, the
for next week's show, for content, we're gonna go through the Hungarian barbarian's Wikipedia and just dissect it.
I can't wait then. I'm already gonna put time in off of work for that one.
The opposition for the Bad Crew in this match is Bubba and D.W. Dudley. As they come to the ring, Sign Guy has a gigantic sign, which I thought was funny. Bubba's fucking over as hell with that crowd. And just more fun stuff for the Dudleys. I keep saying every single week, the Dudleys are so much fun to watch at this point.
I'm just going to say it. Damien Kane popped me. Like, when he said, this is it's like, you got anything else to say, you fucking retard? I'm like, oh my God.
Well, it was 95, dude.
I know, but I was just like watching it now. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, Bob. I mean, the Dudleys were at this point. I'm not going to say they were their most over, but it was like the most over they had been. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they were there for a couple months, and it was like, all right, whatever, man, they're cool. Then all of a sudden, boom, they were over. I mean, the crowd just connected. You know, they had the gimmick, they had the song, they had everything like going for them. And I mean, you could have threw Chad Austin Dudley out there, and he would have been over. You know.
And there is something inherently fucking hilarious about Fat Bubba. I don't know what it is, but when Bubba's fat, it's just automatically funny.
Especially this one because he has hair. And there's not a lot of hair. These guys. Yeah. I can't stand DW though.
Yeah,
DW annoys me.
He didn't last very long, dude.
He annoys the fuck out of me. But yeah, Bubba, and then like when Bubba would stutter or start dancing, and Dick would get mad, and Sign Guy had the big sign, and I even like Chubba Dudley eating his fucking hoagie. Like, it's all good shit, but I could go without DW. He wasn't a bad worker.
Yeah,
I thought the character was annoying.
I was never a big fan of DW either.
Did you know or have much interaction with Chubby Dudley, Chad?
Oh yeah, Lou.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when we were all jobbers, like not just job guys in the ring, like jobbers that were like promoting towns, or you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it was like, yeah, me, Lou, Gabe. Yeah,
because I didn't know, to be honest,
even fucking gay ass Doug. Yeah, we were all a team.
Yeah, because I didn't know a lot about Chubby Dudley, to be honest with you, other than what I'd seen in ECW. And he was just recently on the ECW podcast that Dave Dynasty does, where he talks. He doesn't do like show reviews like we do. He does more history and stuff and interviews. And he actually had Chubby Dudley on his show, I was like, damn, I didn't know this guy's story. He actually seems, he seems like he had a pretty decent little career on the East Coast and seemed pretty intelligent about the business. He didn't seem like, I just didn't know a lot about him, so I just figured he was some schlub, and doesn't seem that way.
But then he like moved to Las Vegas and like started promoting. I don't think it was wrestling shows. Like he started promoting like other shows, like out in Vegas. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like he just. I don't know if wrestling was a passion of his, or it was just a way for him to get into the business somehow. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because like after he moved to like Vegas, he started promoting concerts, all that shit. A lot of the stupid like conventions and crap too.
And then Sign Guy Dudley, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Sign Guy Dudley obviously wasn't a wrestler or whatever, but that dude wound up working for Vince. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I'm not surprised.
He made it up there as as an executive or whatever.
He was a promoter. He got towns. That's a job in the business. You know what I mean? If you can get it, if you can book a town, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, yeah. If you can book a town and you can draw people in it, then you got a job. That's how the business works.
The next Hall of Fame they should have. The next Hall of Fame they should have Bubba and Devon induct the other Dudleys.
That'd be awesome.
Bring out Chubby and Sign Guy and
like one like
one
at a time.
Yeah, one at a time.
Just bring them out one at a time. It'd be like an hour and a half.
Longer. Be longer than make it longer than Flair's induction.
Or the Sheiks.
Have a nice day.
It's the Sheik Dudley. Could you imagine that if they brought the Sheik out of the Dudley? Oh, good Lord!
Which one, the Sheik or the Iron Sheik?
The Iron Sheik Dudley.
Let me tell you something, Bubba. Oh, he's Bubba.
Yeah, and Bubba says what? And then he goes, "I'm not talking to you, jabroni." Yeah, that'd be awesome if they brought the Iron Sheik Dudley.
Well, this match, the Dudleys go over the Bad Crew, and then it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny at the end. Big Dick Dudley, of course, won't let Bubba dance, and Bubba is intimidated by Big Dick, which is an actual Joey Styles quote.
Big Dick stunk.
The next segment we have had a great fucking line in it. I don't care what anybody says, but Stevie Richards is with the Heavenly Bodies asking them if there's anything they would like. And I think Dr. Tom says he'd like an ice water or something like that. And Jimmy Del Rey says, bring Coke and don't forget a straw.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, bring me. I think he says, bring me Coke or something like that. That's alluding to it might be the soda, but he says, don't forget the straw. So nice little line about cocaine from Jimmy Backlund there.
Go figure. ECW.
My biggest fear is
go figure.
My biggest fear is Beulah shouldn't be in a hotel room with Jimmy Del Rey.
Nobody should be in a hotel room with Jimmy Del Rey.
He might not get out of there. That cost Tatanka his job. That cost Tatanka his job for like 6 months, and he left. He was like, "I gotta go." Like he wasn't even there for the incident. It cost him his job.
I was going to say, wasn't Tatanka Jimmy Del Rey's room?
Yeah, and that shit was so bad. And you might know what happened, but I've heard shoot interviews where people ask what happened in that room, and wrestlers don't even talk about it. Like they're like, "Nah," like "Nah, we're not going to bring that up." Like they won't even say what happened with Del Rey and that girl.
Dude, it's too unbelievable. Like, I mean, I've heard several versions of the story, and it's just too unbelievable. That you know what I mean? You can't do that. You can't do that to people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah, Chris Chavis left before it happened, and they still fucking said, "You gotta go for a little bit because you're just associated with it. Like your DNA's in there, so we gotta get rid of you for your touch DNA is in that room. So you gotta go away for a little bit."
Yeah, that shit was. I mean, from what I hear, it was horrific. I mean, that's all I'm going to say. And I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was coke fueled. I'm sure it was. I'm not even going to lie and pretend like I'm sure it was. It had to have been. That shit don't happen between regular straight-headed people. You know what I'm saying? There was it was a fucking murder scene.
It was almost an Nancy Argentino, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it basically was.
And Tatanka was like, I gotta go.
Yeah,
or they were like, you gotta go.
Yep. it wouldn't have took me long either to go. All right, I'm changing rooms, buddy. I'm moving. I'm going down the hall because I've seen enough.
Well, the main I guess Del Rey.
Yeah.
Yes. To my knowledge, he is.
How is he still alive?
Dead? Oh, he's dead.
No, is he? I thought he was still alive.
Oh, Jimmy Del Rey's dead.
What about Road Warrior Animal?
He's dead too.
Hawk?
Way dead.
Who else do I not know is dead? Dusty?
Johnny Grunge? Johnny Grunge?
Johnny Grunge is dead?
Yeah.
That's sad. Well, guess who's not dead?
Who's not dead?
Yeah.
Pitbull
Sandman and Steve Austin.
Yeah, the main event match here.
Alive.
Main event match here for this
Jason's
episode.
still alive.
Well, that's his fault.
I'm gonna go through all the wrestlers that are still alive.
like 8 of them from ECW. Me.
Well, everybody that's in this next matchup is still alive. We can say that. So there's something positive. Mikey Whipwreck, Steve Austin, the Sandman, in a triangle match
not everybody,
for the ECW
dude.
Championship.
You're using the word alive subjectively.
Yeah.
I liked all this shit, man. Like,
oh yeah, I did too. I liked this match.
I thought it was entertaining, and it took up a lot of TV time, which it didn't bother me. Which, you know what I mean? Like a lot of times when you get a match, like just if you watch Raw or something, and they put a match out there and it goes on and on like forever. Like this didn't bother me at all, and then I realized it was like 35 minutes, like of all this.
And 25
I
minutes of it was Sandman's entrance.
Well, that was 12 minutes.
I like the fact that it was a triple threat match or whatever, and Sandman showed up late and still did his entire entrance. I just think that's funny.
I just thought it was fun. And that's what I wrote. That was one of my quotes I just said, I think this was fun.
Yeah, it was well paced, and everybody played their role in the match perfectly. I mean, Mikey. Once Sandman showed up, and him and Austin kind of made it about him and Austin. Mikey was just kind of a nuisance, but he was the underdog nuisance, kind of in their way. It was almost like they were having a championship match and kind of ignoring him. But
which was
then
fine.
He would get his spots in, yeah. And it was, I thought it was really well done.
It's sort of I thoroughly enjoyed it.
And it let Steve get his win back without being the champ, because Paul knew that Steve wasn't going to be there forever. You know what I mean? Like I guarantee that Steve showing up in ECW, Paulie probably knew that this is just a placeholder for him going to Vince. So
right.
It was just kind of like Steve put over Mikey.
Why do you think he put Mikey over?
To begin with?
Yeah, because Paul knew he was leaving. And then like I said, in this match,
And then in this match, I mean, Mikey pinned Steve in that title match, but then in this one they let Steve pin Mikey, but it didn't mean that he was the champ. You know what I mean? But it didn't make him look shitty leaving out because he got his win back or whatever. And like I said, they weren't going to put the belt on Steve, but they didn't want Steve to not have a pinfall, at least one pinfall in his fucking ECW run.
I just laughed when they called him Superstar Steve Austin. That just made my day. Knowing what you know now, you know what I'm saying? And they call him Superstar Steve Austin. I'm like, dude, you're kidding me.
I don't even know if he has it. Does he have another match after this, or is it just promos?
I don't think he does, because this is December 12th. I know they probably recorded.
At least not on TV. I'm sure he's probably working house shows or whatever. But I don't know if he has another TV match after this.
Yeah,
well,
there was no house shows.
He makes his WWF debut on the Brother Love show. I think it's like the Christmas Eve edition of Raw in '95. So within a couple of weeks, he's on WWF TV doing the ring.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't staying. Everybody knew he wasn't staying. Like that wasn't that was no secret.
Oh, sorry, skipping over these shows that we skipped over. We didn't skip over the Lunchbox promo and everything, did we?
I don't know.
I hope we didn't. That's good shit.
I don't know, because when I went through them, I just was looking at what matches, what in-ring action was on the show, to make sure we weren't watching the same matches over and over again. To be honest with you, I just but so I don't know if we missed it or not. If we did, we could always go back and have a look at it.
And that's sure we will.
But yeah, like Aaron,
go back and do this again.
Like Aaron said, Mikey gets pinned by Steve Austin after a stun gun. So then now it's Steve versus the Sandman for the title. And Joey on commentary makes a great point. Even though at this point in the match, Austin's not the champion, he sees himself as the champion because he pinned the champion. So he's going to wrestle like a champion. And Sandman and Austin go at it. And you forget about it. You forget about it because Steve had such a short run in ECW. But it's kind of crazy how well him and Sandman kind of meshed together. They really actually worked really well together.
Well, I mean, sometimes sloppy is good. Not all the time.
Raven would tell you that about Sandman.
This was sloppy good. It was awkward.
I feel like that at the end of a bar night every once in a while.
Yeah. Well,
sometimes sloppy's good, I guess.
and this was sloppy good. Like they were all over the place. It wasn't headlocks, hammer. You know what I mean? They were just all over the place, beating each other up. The bumps were awkward. It kind of looked like a real kind of fight, in my opinion.
Yeah, it did. It looked like two guys who were just out to kick the shit out of each other. It wasn't choreographed. It was just a brawl, and it really worked.
That's what I thought. That's exactly that's exactly what I got out of it. Was like, I like this because it's awkward, it's ugly, it's sloppy, but it looks real.
Bar fight.
It looks real. As much as I don't like the Sandman, that's his style, and it works for him.
And at the end of it, when he ends up winning the belt, he looks terrible. Like I don't want to say it. I'm not saying he looks terrible, but Nate, if you want to go over the end of the match, that's fine, and then I'll say what I'm saying.
Yeah, essentially, Steve Austin is, since the crowd's chanting Hogan at him anyway, he's giving them the shit back by cupping his ear and doing the leg drop and everything. Just like, you know what, fuck you too, you sons of bitches. But it
is funny. It is funny they chanted "Where's your hair" at him.
Yeah,
because he's got his.
I never
and they're like, "Where's your hair?" So go ahead, Nate.
That's
sorry.
funny. I never caught that.
Sandman tries to use brass knucks on Austin.
But I never saw him.
No, I didn't see them until I heard Joey say something about them, but I didn't.
Yeah, but I never saw a woman hand them to him, or I never saw him taking it out of his pants. Like I'm like, all of a sudden he's got brass knuckles on, or at least Joey said he did, and I'm going, I never saw any of this.
Steve tried to use them first.
Well, how do you do all this and not make it a bigger spectacle to where everybody sees what's going on? You understand what I'm saying? I never saw any of this.
But in the match, Steve tried to use them first because it was like, it's kind of like the classic heel thing, where the heel tries to do something and it ends up being his comeuppance or whatever. Because he tried to use them first and it didn't work, and then Sandman ended up getting them and hitting Steve with them, and Sandman pins Steve, and the ref doesn't see Steve's foot on the rope because he got bumped, so he's groggy, and it's the 1, 2, 3, and then Sandman's the champ.
Lazy booking.
But I love the fact that Sandman's the champ, and he is completely disheveled. Like his fucking outfit's dirty, his hair's all fucked up.
They mentioned that
a cigarette at the end of it.
They mentioned that he injured his hand during the match.
Which he was a mess. Guess he legitimately did.
Hey, you know what though? I mean, honestly, if you think about it, it's a great visual.
It's kind of like all those visuals, and people can say what they want about him. At the end of the day, but some of the better visuals of the mid 2000s in wrestling are during that heel title run that JBL had. Because after every successful title defense, he looked like the fucking worst of it. He was covered in blood. He was in a fucking casket. He had been choke slammed through the top of a limousine and missing a tooth. Like, he did I don't care. Anybody can say what they want. He did a great job with that heel run with the title.
And they'd hand him his belt, and he looked confused why he still had it. Like, he didn't even know.
Confused.
He didn't even know he didn't even know he won.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
I'm still
I love when my favorite one is when JBL gets choke slammed off the cage, like through the ring, and that's the reason he won. That's because Big Show like choke slammed him, and he crawls out like through the apron. He's like, I guess I won. All right.
That's a whole other show. The JBL run.
It's a great fucking run.
This like you guys said, it's a great visual for the Sandman. He's finally overcome this pesky Mikey Whipwreck and this Steve Austin guy, and he is the champion again. Now we go into Pulp Fiction, and like I've been doing with Pulp Fiction, it's just easier to write down who you see on the screen, and then if anything sticks out to you guys as we go through it, just let me know and I'll shut up. But
that's a pretty weak Pulp Fiction.
I mean,
we got this.
The Dudleys probably was the best part about it.
Yeah, I agree. That's the most notes that I have on it. There's lots of good Dudley stuff in here. Even DW singing Feliz Navidad is kind of entertaining.
Well, that's what I was talking about.
It always cracks me up that he's supposedly a Native American Dudley, but he speaks Spanish and acts like a Mexican. It's just
he's an Indian Dudley, I guess. I don't know.
I think a Wahoo. They were good blankets.
Wahoo McDudley?
Wahoo McDudley.
Is that his new name?
I think Wahoo was probably one of the only actual Native American wrestlers. It was like him and Tatanka. Everybody else was like Mexican or fucking
Arab.
Italian.
Oh, come on. Are you trying to tell me that Jay Scarpa was not Indian?
Speaking of which, Adnan Al-Casey died today. Billy White Wolf.
Adnan Al-Casey?
Yeah. Speaking of fake Indians, yep, he passed away today.
Well, that's sad.
If you never read his autobiography is fucking fascinating. The story of his life is
that dude lived a life, man.
Yeah.
He lived a life.
Yeah. His autobiography is actually one of my favorite wrestling books.
Like nobody lived a life like that, dude.
I don't understand. Fill me in. I don't know.
He actually, like the story of
He
him
had to
knowing
escape?
Saddam. Yeah, he had to escape. Like, so he was literally a quote unquote friend of Saddam Hussein. He had to escape Iraq, and then he was, worried about his family and just.
Because actually worked. If what he's saying is true, like he actually worked as like a double for him and all that shit, and like Saddam started like offing people that were close to him and shit, and he thought, oh shit, I might be next, and he had to fucking bounce.
I did hear that shit.
Like he had to bounce out of there, and he's like, I don't know what's fucking gonna happen to me, and had to like wait at least like a year to get his fucking family over here and shit. Like it was fucking nuts. His life was insane.
Poor Adnan Al-Kaisi.
But he did get to the States.
Speaking of people dying, I lost my cat today. Yeah. I lost Fatty Pants.
This show is dedicated to Fattie and Funk.
Funk Fatty.
Fatty Funk.
Fatty Funk.
Number 2.
He used to work the towns with Arbuckle. The Fatties. Fatty Funk and Fatty Arbuckle. And Archie Mitchell.
Fatty didn't do a whole lot of working, dude.
Fatty Funk was what they were gonna call Adrian before they decided to just make him adorable.
Name 2 more cats the same exact names.
Yeah, I name all my cats the same name, so I don't forget them. They're either Mr. Wrestling 1 and 2 or Thing 2, Thing 1.
I've never been able to convince my wife, but I've always wanted to name one of our cats Cat Patterson.
Cat Patterson?
Yes, Cat Patterson.
That's a great name. Cat Stevens?
Fat Stevens.
Yeah, I'm down with that, man. I might start calling the cat Patterson.
Cat Patterson.
They don't fucking know.
It's just kind of inappropriately groping the other cats. Like, what's happening?
Well, I mean, one of them could be gay anyway. I don't know.
The other cats
They're
were
always
going
fucking around with each other and shit.
The other cats were going banana.
Yeah, they're always fucking around with each other. I don't know what's going on over there.
I brought the kibble. It was good kibble. Like the deal with the apples. The deal with the apples.
All right,
anyway,
are we wrapping this up?
We're going off the rails. Yes, let's wrap it up. What did you guys think? I actually enjoyed this episode of ECW. Good undercard match with the tag team match, and then a really good main event. Like Chad said, it was good enough where you didn't feel like it was dragging on and on and on. This show just kind of got to the point.
Yep. And that's why I think that we're on a good trajectory when it comes to ECW.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I agree. It's like I said. Oh, I was just gonna say it's like with the November to Remember that we watched and watching this now, and we've been saying for I don't know how many shows we've done, but show after show after show where we're like, oh, we're getting to the ECW, what
Right.
ECW is, and what everybody remembers. It's like it's in the stride now. You know what I mean? Like
Aaron, how many weeks was it? It was it at the end of our show. We always say we're getting there.
Well, we're there now. Like this is no longer any Cabrini or Todd Gordon stuff. This is Paul finally being in charge, I think.
Good thing, man. It was a good show. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I mean, and much more I can tell you. I thought it was good. I mean, the matches were fine. The clips are great. Joey did his job well. I thought well-produced show.
Absolutely. Well, Aaron, Chad, thank you for joining me on the show this week. Chad, it's nice to have you back. And we will wrap this one up and we will see everybody next week as we go to the episode. I believe it's December 19th of 1995. And like these
Can't
guys
wait.
said, we are getting into some. 96 is a really good year for ECW. Let's put it that way. So
It's their best year.